Hey guys, so I'm back with another video. Today I'm doing an April wrap-up, a reading wrap-up, because it's gonna be a thing every month now because I'm not gonna forget. But I read 6 books this month. This month was a pretty good reading month. I had one book that I wasn't too crazy about, but the other one's pretty good. And 2 of them I don't have. The other 4 I do have. This is my May. This is my May TBR right here. You guys just watched that video, hopefully. These are the 4 books, the 4 physical books that I read in April, and then I read 2 other books as well. I have them here because I usually keep track of them on my phone, but I'm recording on my phone, so obviously we can't look at that. The first book I read this month was In the Weeds by B.K. Borison. If you guys could tell by how bolded it was, yes, this book was a 5-star. I loved this book. I loved Love Light Farms. I think I gave it a 4 point, it was either a 4.5 or a 4.75. It wasn't a 5-star, but it got very close to being a 5-star. And this one was a 5-star. And I think when I choose books that I think are going to be good books. So a lot of my books are rated high, and then I'm watching all these other YouTubers who are not rating books high, and I'm just like, is something like, am I an easy rater? Like, is it a me problem? So when I was reading this book, and after I read it, I was trying to find something I didn't like about this book. So I was like, this is a 5-star, but I was like, I need to find something. This can't be a 5-star. I can't have another 5-star, you know? I can't have another one. But I just couldn't. I loved everything about this book, literally everything about this. I feel like the third act breakup in this book wasn't as, I feel like B.K. Borison, I hate a third act breakup, but I feel like she does it to the point where I don't hate the book, you know? Because the third act breakup could really ruin a book for me, and hers just don't. I feel like they're not dragged on like other ones, and I loved it. And so yeah, this is in the Love Light series. This is the 2nd book, but we're following Evelyn, Evie, and Beckett. And I think this book speaks a lot to me because Beckett is an animal lover. He's an animal lover and he has tattoos. You really can't get any better than that. And seeing all the animals in the book and how big of a role they played in the book really just made my heart happy. But yeah, really liked this. It's a second chance romance. I liked it. Gave it a 5 stars. Nothing more to say about this piece of art. Next book I read was, I'm trying to go in order, but I don't think that I'm gonna be able to go in order because they're kind of just all over the place. But based on this, I started 1922, but we're not going to talk about that yet because that's actually one of the last books I finished. Yeah. But after that, I read Powerless by Elsie Silver. I don't physically have it with me, so we're gonna put it right here. I read Powerless by Elsie Silver. I liked this book more than I liked Flawless, but I feel like Heartless is going to be like the top book for me in the series. I feel like that's going to be my favorite book. But here's the thing that I had with Powerless. For a long time, I just didn't, it's not that I didn't like it, but I felt like the relationship was purely physical, you know? Like, obviously they had history, but their history wasn't like giving me anything. It wasn't making me feel like, oh yeah, they have, like, they love each other, you know? Because I don't know, I just wasn't getting it. And then at the, like, very close to the end, then I kind of started to see, like, oh yeah, maybe they, like, actually do love each other. Like, obviously they loved each other, but maybe they do have romantic love for each other, you know, not just platonic love. Because for a long time I was like, yeah, they love each other, but like this romantic love was just lust in my eyes, is how I was seeing it. But towards the end, I got what you guys were talking about towards the end, but I did not feel that for majority of the book. So yeah, but other than that, like, I felt like the writing was good, the story was good, I liked the characters, so it did get a 4 for me, maybe a 4.25, but I think that's the highest I would go with that rating. But yeah, Heartless is probably always gonna be my favorite, and I liked seeing all the other characters from the other books, so that was nice. And then I read The Riley Effect. Oh my gosh, guys, let me tell you about The Riley Effect by, oh, what's her name? One second. Okay, I found it. The author is Nicole Marie, and this was a 5 stars immediately. I read the description, the synopsis of the book, and I was like, oh, this is gonna hit, and it did. Because let me tell you why. Our main character is a college student. It's a sports romance, but I felt so seen. The main character is a college student. She plays basketball. I don't play basketball. I'm also not 6 foot tall, so obviously I'm not seen in those ways. But our main character has some severe anxiety. Me. She's also a animal science major. She's pre-vet. I'm not pre-vet, but I am an animal science major. So I was just like, oh my gosh, I've never read a book where one of the main characters had either like a job focused around animals or was in like majoring in an animal science major. And I was just like, that's literally me. I'm doing that right now. And I was like, oh my gosh, love that. And then our male main character is a hockey player. And yeah, I loved both of them. Loved it. It was just so cute. I literally can't think of anything bad about the book. Like, really, I can't. It felt so real as a 19-year-old who was in college and experiencing what they were going through in the book. It felt so real. It felt like the relationships felt like a relationship that you would see college students have, you know? And I don't know, it just all felt very real, felt very relatable, and I loved it. And it was a book I randomly came across because Instagram likes to put books out there for me to read, and I just saw a dog on the cover and I was like, what is this? And then I saw it was on Kindle Unlimited, so I was like, yes. And then I read it, and then it was a 5 star, and I feel like no one probably has heard of the book. It's so good, guys. It's so good. That probably doesn't give you much, but it gives you enough to be like, I want to read it. So read it. Also, it's Guy falls first. He falls hard for her first. So yeah, there's that. 5 star, amazing. Next I read, okay, I think it was this. Next I read Part of Your World by Abby Jimenez. Yes, I finally did it. And I finally read this book. I've had this book since January of 2023, not gonna lie, and I've said so many times, oh, I'm gonna read it. Just read it in one day, but I literally just read this. April 22nd, my mama's birthday, I read this, and I see what you guys are talking about. I gave this a 4.5. It was not a 5 for me, but it was very close. There was a lot of things that were kind of just like, okay. And it was specifically about her, like, when people were talking about like, oh, she mentions their age gap too much, I was expecting a lot more, but she definitely did it enough to annoy me. Definitely did. Because first of all, the age gap was not so big for her to be like, oh my gosh, she's a baby. It wasn't it was not big enough for that, especially when you're considering the relationship that she was in. Girl, no. Girl, no. So there was that. But other than that, I liked the book. I liked almost all the characters. But yeah. Also, these characters that are on the cover, I know they're cartoon characters, but this is not how I was imagining them. So yeah. But look at this one also. He also has he has a dog, and I love his dog. I really do. The animals are always the best part of books for me, in my opinion. The animals are always the best characters in the book. But yeah, this was a 4.5. There was nothing really too crazy about it. It was just the fact that she kept mentioning their age gap that bothered me a little bit. But other than that, it was pretty good. Yeah, 4.5. Then I finally finished on the 25th. Only took me 21 days. I finally finished 1922 by Stephen King. Why it took me 21 days to read this, I don't know, but I gave it a 3-star. This was the only book that I kind of felt like about, which is weird. It was really weird for me because I love Stephen King books. I said this in the video where I read this. Love Stephen King books. So the fact that it took me so long and I only rate this a 3-star is very surprising to me, but nonetheless, this was happened. So yeah, this book is only like 200. Is it even 200? No, it's not 200 pages, like 130 pages. And it is very gory, lots of blood, lots of... He doesn't leave anything out in this book. Everything is in. Every action made, every thought had is in this book. It's very detailed. The imagery is very, like, it's really there. Like, it's almost like you can picture it in your mind. So if you are not a fan of gore, you're not a fan of blood, this book is not for you. Don't read it. Don't. But I just felt like, and I feel like this is going to be a crazy statement for me to make because the book is only 130 pages, but I feel like there was almost like too much detail in some parts, like some things that like didn't have to be in the book. And I feel like that's what made me not really enjoy this book, because I found myself getting bored at times. Like, with so much that is happening in this book, I was so bored. So yeah, that's what this book, if you guys don't know what this book is about, there's this man and his wife and his son. They own this farm. His wife ends up getting some land from her dad, I think, and she wants to sell it. He does not want to sell it, so he doesn't say it on the back, so they kill her. It says it on the back, so they end up killing her. And now we're kind of just, because you see everything from when they kill her to the end. And there was just parts where I was just like so bored. Like the very beginning I was hooked, but then like I think I was like maybe like 60 pages in, and I was just like, well, I don't, like the climax was at the very, very beginning. Like, I'm bored now. So yeah, that's what I have to say about this book. It wasn't a bad book, it was just boring. Halfway through I was just very bored. But yeah, doesn't change my stance on Stephen King. Still really like Stephen King, just wasn't crazy about this book in particular, which is okay. And the last book I read, which was also in the Can I Finish My April TBR video, was The Unhoneymooners by Christina Lauren. This is the second book I've read by Christina Lauren. This is also the second book by Christina Lauren that I have rated a 5-star. I read Love and Other Words by Christina and Lauren. I want to say, I think it was in March. I'm pretty sure it was in March of 2023 when I read Love and Other Words. Gave that a 5 stars. Read this. I was not really going into this book with very high expectations, just because I've just heard so many people say like not really great things about this book. Like they're just kind of just like, it was okay. So I was expecting for this book to just be okay. I feel like maybe I read a completely different book than everyone else, because I loved this, and the only person that I think has like given this like such a high rating like me is Chandler. I watch her videos, and she also rated this 5 stars, and I feel like she's the only person that I've seen that has rated this 5 star. And me and her, yeah, this was so good. I loved, like, here's the thing, we learned something at the end where, because it's enemies to lovers, and on one side it is definitely enemies to lovers. Like, she definitely doesn't like him, and once they like, the characters are really like, I feel like they're like really well fleshed out. Does that make sense? I feel like the characters are really in depth, like, you know, that they're not like two-sided, like they're very 3D characters. I don't know if that makes sense, but that's how I feel. And I felt like they're like real people, and all of the conflicts that were had, all of the situations that they were in, I felt were very real. Like, third act breakup, I think, is the only third act breakup that didn't make me like want to like pull my hair out, because it was realistic. It's something that happens in life all the time, you know, and it was something that I could completely understand why it happened. So it didn't make me upset. In fact, I related to it a lot. So I wasn't upset with this third act breakup. It also didn't drag on for chapters and chapters and chapters. So there was nothing really bad about this book at all. I loved the characters, except for the two, which everybody should hate. If you don't hate the two characters that I'm hinting at, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know how I should feel about you. But yeah, this was a 5 star. Loved it, and I definitely want to read more of Christina and Lauren, because their writing has never let me down. I say that having only read 2 books, by the way. But yeah, those are the 6 books that I read in April. It is currently May 13th, and I have not finished a book. I feel like I can finish a book either today or tomorrow. I'm like 60% of the way through This Could Be Us. So, and then it's on to 1, 2, and 3, because I'm doing those for a video. So those will have to be done in May, because that video gets posted in like 2 weeks. Yeah, it's gonna have to be done. So yeah, hopefully I can get to my 6 book mark, because I read like 6 books a month. So hopefully I can get at least 6 books done this month. We'll see, because like I said, it's been 2 weeks in May. I haven't read one. We'll see. But yeah, that was my April wrap up. If you guys have read any of these books, tell me how you feel about them. But other than that, I will see you guys next Tuesday. Bye.